I asked the smartest generative AI systems about the design profession in the form of a table discussion. Please welcome OpenAI's ChatGPT and Dragonfly, Anthropic's Claude, U.com custom-trained chatbot, and last but not least, the infamous Bing.com chat. Do you think big tech like Google and Facebook commoditize design?
That's an interesting question. Some people might argue that big tech have commoditized design by offering standardized tools and platforms that reduce the need for customization and differentiation. Others might disagree and say that big tech companies still value design as a way to create user loyalty and competitive advantage.
There are pros and cons. Big tech companies have popularized minimalist, clean, and functional design aesthetics that are now common across many websites and apps. This commoditized design style is easy to replicate and adopt, lowering the barrier to basic usability. Their designs are highly optimized for engagement and user experience, and some see them as establishing new standards for intuitive and streamlined interfaces. Though some critics argue that this homogenization of design leads to bland, uninspired interfaces and discourages unique or differentiated design, there is also concern that the design decisions of large tech companies are primarily motivated by advertising revenue and profit, rather than aesthetic principles or the user experience. Reliance on a common design language may discourage innovation in interface and interaction design.
Yes, I believe that big tech companies like Google and Facebook have commoditized design to some extent. They have made design more accessible and affordable by offering free tools, templates, and resources. However, this has also resulted in a lot of design becoming more generic and less unique.
Yes, I believe that free UI kits and free design systems can have a negative impact on creativity and experimentation. By providing a pre-made framework, it can limit the amount of creative exploration and experimentation that is possible. This can lead to a lack of originality and a lack of innovation in the design process, as designers may be tempted to rely too heavily on existing frameworks and templates rather than coming up with their own unique ideas. Additionally, it may lead to a lack of diversity in the design world, as designers may be more likely to use the same kits and systems instead of trying to come up with something completely new.
Big tech companies like Google and Facebook have certainly played a role in the commoditization of design in the digital era. These companies have been at the forefront of creating products and services that rely heavily on design to provide a great user experience, and they have invested heavily in design teams and tools to achieve this goal. As these companies have grown and dominated their respective markets, they have also set a standard for design that other companies have been forced to follow if they want to compete. This has led to a proliferation of design patterns and best practices that have become standardized and are now expected by users. This, in turn, has made design feel more like a commodity, as companies are no longer able to differentiate themselves purely based on their design. However, it's worth noting that design is still a complex and multifaceted field that requires a high level of skill and expertise. While big tech companies have made design more accessible and visible, the best designers are still in high demand and can command premium salaries. Additionally, there is still plenty of room for innovation and experimentation in the design field, and companies that are willing to take risks and try new things can still set themselves apart through their design.
That sounded too optimistic to me.
You are right that may have sounded overly optimistic. While it's true that the demand for skilled designers remains high, and that there is still room for innovation and experimentation in the field, there are also some challenges and concerns that are worth noting. For one, the emphasis on design that is easy to use and intuitive may have led to a focus on simplicity at the expense of creativity and originality. As companies strive to create interfaces that are immediately understandable to users, they may be missing opportunities to surprise and delight them with unique or unexpected design solutions. Moreover, the commoditization of design has also led to a trend of designing for the lowest common denominator, where designers create solutions that are safe and familiar rather than pushing boundaries and taking risks. This can stifle creativity and make it more difficult for designers to stand out. Finally, there is a risk that the over-reliance on big tech companies for design solutions may lead to a homogenization of design across different industries and sectors. This can make it more difficult for smaller companies to differentiate themselves and for new design trends to emerge. In summary, while there are still opportunities for innovation and creativity in the design field, the commoditization of design has also brought some challenges and concerns that need to be considered.
You're right. There are significant downsides and criticisms worth acknowledging. Big tech companies have an outsized influence on design trends, and their homogenized aesthetics can lead to a bland, uninspired landscape of interfaces that all look and feel the same. This lack of diversity or originality is a real concern. Their design decisions are often primarily motivated by business goals like advertising revenue, user data collection, and growth, rather than user experience or creativity. This profit-driven approach can degrade design. Reliance on a few big tech companies for design standards can stifle innovation by discouraging unique or alternative design concepts and locking interfaces into a one-size-fits-all model. As big tech design is highly optimized for engagement and usage metrics, it often promotes addictive or exploitative patterns that are not in the user's best interests. I wanted a small note about familiarity effect. There's evidence that the familiarity effect can lead to users expecting the same patterns when using a product or service. Users may become accustomed to a particular design and expect the same design to be present in other services or products they interact with. This can lead to a lack of innovation as users become less willing to explore other options and instead prefer the familiarity of the design they are used to. Additionally, this familiarity effect can lead to users becoming dissatisfied when they are presented with something different than they are used to.
Do you think free UI kits and free design systems played a role in reducing creativity and experimentation?
They can be a great resource for designers, but it is important to remember that they are not always unique or original. Designers should be mindful of how they use these assets and be sure to put in the effort to create something original.
The availability of free UI kits and design systems has undoubtedly made it easier and more accessible for designers to create interfaces that are visually consistent and familiar to users. However, it's not necessarily the availability of these resources that has reduced creativity and experimentation in design. It's how they are used that matters. When used properly, free UI kits and design systems can be a helpful tool for designers to speed up their workflow and create consistent and usable interfaces. They can also provide a solid foundation for experimentation and customization. Designers can take existing patterns and tweak them to fit their specific needs or combine different elements from multiple kits to create something unique and original. However, when designers rely too heavily on these resources, without making any changes or customization, the result can be a lack of creativity and originality. The design ends up looking like a carbon copy of what's already out there, rather than pushing the boundaries and exploring new design solutions. In short, the availability of free UI kits and design systems is not inherently bad for creativity and experimentation in design. It's how designers use them that determines their impact on the field. When designers use them as a starting point for exploration and customization, they can still push boundaries and create something unique and innovative.
Yeah, I agree for EO for a few reasons. They provide pre-made templates and components that designers can easily adopt, which can discourage creating unique or original designs from scratch. It's simpler to reuse existing elements than invent new ones. The kits often promote a similar style and aesthetics, so relying on them can lead to designs that look alike rather than push creative boundaries. The free nature means more people use the kits, further amplifying a homogeneous aesthetic. Widespread adoption of the same kits feeds into a cycle of similarity rather than diversity. However, the impact depends on how the kits are used. They can be a useful starting point, but designers can still apply creativity by modifying components or combining them.
I believe they can be useful tools for designers, but they can also limit creativity and experimentation. Ultimately, it depends on how the designer chooses to use them. For example, designers can use free kits as a starting point for their own creative work, or they can use them as templates and not put in the effort to create something original.
Some people might think yes, they played a role in reducing creativity and experimentation by encouraging designers to use existing solutions instead of creating their own. Others might think that free assets played a role in enhancing creativity and experimentation by allowing designers to save time, learn from best practices, and customize their designs according to their needs.
I think it is both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it can help to democratize design and give more people access to tools and resources that can help them create their own designs. On the other hand, it can lead to stagnation in the design world as designers may become too reliant on free assets, resulting in a lack of innovation and creativity. It can be difficult to determine who the original creator of the design asset is, leading to a lack of recognition and compensation for the people who actually created the work.
Many companies share valuable design assets for free.
The availability of free UI kits and design systems has undoubtedly made it easier and more accessible for designers to create interfaces that are visually consistent and familiar to users. However, it's not necessarily the availability of these resources that has reduced creativity and experimentation in design. It's how they are used that matters. When used properly, free UI kits and design systems can be a helpful tool for designers to speed up their workflow and create consistent and usable interfaces. They can also provide a solid foundation for experimentation and customization. Designers can take existing patterns and tweak them to fit their specific needs or combine different elements from multiple kits to create something unique and original. However, when designers rely too heavily on these resources without making any changes or customization, the result can be a lack of creativity and originality. The design ends up looking like a carbon copy of what's already out there, rather than pushing the boundaries and exploring new design solutions. In short, the availability of free UI kits and design systems is not inherently bad for creativity and experimentation in design. It's how designers use them that determines their impact on the field. When designers use them as a starting point for exploration and customization, they can still push boundaries and create something unique and innovative.
How to fight against the devaluation of design?
That's a challenging question. There are different ways to fight against the devaluation of design, depending on what you mean by devaluation. If you mean devaluation in terms of intellectual property rights, then you might want to protect your design by registering it with an official authority and enforcing your rights against any infringers. If you mean devaluation in terms of social justice and equity, then you might want to use your design skills to stand for, fight for, and build an anti-racist future by dismantling oppressive structures and systems. Clients paving less for design might be due to various factors, such as increased competition, availability of free or cheap resources, lack of understanding of design value, or unrealistic expectations. 4. Companies not willing to pay high salaries for designers might be due to budget constraints, market conditions, or different priorities.
In my opinion, we should emphasize the value of originality and creativity. Highlight the need for unique, differentiated designs rather than homogenized templates. Celebrate innovative design work. Focus on design quality over quantity. Don't just produce more assets and templates, but push for thoughtful, well-crafted design solutions. Consider business models that don't rely on advertising or data collection. Look for ways to fund design. One way to fight against it is to advocate for fair compensation for designers and for their work to be properly recognized. Designers should strive to create original, high-quality work and to ensure that any work they produce is properly credited. Additionally, designers should stay up to date on the latest trends and technologies in the field and look for ways to incorporate them into their work. Designers should also stay actively engaged with their peers.
One way to fight against it is to focus on creating unique, original designs that are tailored to the needs of the client. This can be done by taking the time to understand the client's goals and objectives, and then creating a design that meets those needs. Focus on educating clients about the value of design and why it is important to invest in quality design work.
The devaluation of design is a complex issue that cannot be solved with a single solution. However, here are some ways in which designers, companies, and the design industry as a whole can work to combat the devaluation of design. First, educate clients and stakeholders on the value of design. Designers can help combat the devaluation of design by educating their clients and stakeholders on the value that design brings to their business. This can help them understand the importance of investing in good design and can help designers negotiate fair compensation for their work. Then, differentiate through innovation and originality. Designers can differentiate themselves and demonstrate the value of their work by pushing the boundaries of design and creating original, innovative solutions. By focusing on unique and creative design solutions, designers can show that their work is not a commodity but a unique skill set that adds value to their clients. You can collaborate with other designers and industries. By collaborating with other designers and industries, designers can learn new skills and perspectives and bring these insights back to their work. This can help keep design fresh and innovative, and help prevent it from becoming stagnant. We should emphasize the user experience. Designers can combat the devaluation of design by emphasizing the importance of user experience in their work. By creating designs that are intuitive, easy to use, and visually appealing, designers can demonstrate the value that good design brings to the user and the business.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.